Hi, I'm Beck Lane, I'm Beck Lane, and this is Catalyst and Company. Catalyst and Company, we're catalysts in each other's lives as well as our own, and we work at being the artists we've always wanted to be. Over the past few months, I've been dealing with several different situations where I've been trying to stand up for or fight for myself and as well as members of the art community here in Sarasota. As you know, as you may know, the governor of the state sent down a little edict, a little decree that rainbow crosswalks were bad and that everything colorful had to be eradicated. I kid you not. He originally wanted to destroy all public art. They wanted to make it illegal. He and some congressman, Jolly or something. No, not Jolly. I can't remember this guy's name. He's just really ugly and awful. So they were successful in destroying all but one of the crosswalks throughout Florida, which I think there were 42. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, in that melee, we also had 300 pieces of artwork destroyed here in Sarasota called Ave of Art. It was a sidewalk collection that was the largest pavement art collection in the United States, possibly the world. We're not sure, but we believe it may have been the largest in the world. It was a project that had gone on over a 4-year span and actually had been in talks with the city about going bigger and further and longer. But little Ron DeSantis decided rainbow crosswalks had to go and sent out this little memo, and our little city didn't bother to fight for any of it for itself at all, our city leaders. So that's the long and the short of it. Actually, I'm part of a team of artists a team of our Ave of Art artists and supporters who actually put together a legal case. We've figured out the multiple of ways, this was a violation of federal law, state constitution, and the county charter. I hadn't really been specific about anything. I've talked about this a bit, but I haven't gotten specific. But we are talking, how do I put this? But we've been reaching out to law firms. I know I've reached out to dozens and dozens and dozens, not here in Sarasota, because this is a coward's paradise. Nobody wants to take on the city. It's a small town trying to be a city, but it doesn't have the sophistication or backbone to be a city. So we're not going there. People don't want to shit where they live either. I mean, I get that, but come on. So they keep saying the political climate. Well, the political climate isn't going to change if you don't fucking change it. If you just sit back and go, well, maybe one day it'll be safe for me to take action. But anyhow, so we've been reaching out across the state and then across the country, reaching out to law firms. And I have a meeting again today with another lawyer. But we've been reaching out to agencies and and having all these conversations and sharing information and talking to lawyers who have represented other cities and, run across the spinelessness that we have here in Sarasota, in their city officials and city leaders. And I'm not just saying all this out of spite, even though I am fueled by bitterness and rage. I'm really appalled at the cowardice here. Uh, I'm just so not shocked, but just appalled at the spinelessness involved in this whole thing. So, and this total lack of respect for the Sarasota community or any community in Florida that said, no, stop this. And like I said, this starts at the top. It starts in Tallahassee, and all the way down, they violated federal law. Everyone who was involved in the erasure violated federal law. We can start there. The federal Florida Constitution, as well as city charters. And there were a number of measures that could have been taken to halt, if not stop, the entire action, but people just caved because Ron DeSantis said, well, I won't give you money. I won't give you that $62 million that you want Sarasota to build a new rotary. Well, I'm not giving you $62 million for infrastructure. I can't even. I can't even. So Sarasota commissioners rolled over, like most of the commissioners in the state, or the mayors in the state, leadership throughout the state. And I mean, it's very clear. I can barely put my pants on by myself, but I was able to nail down so many violations and laws broken. And so we're talking with lawyers, and we've just got to find one that goes, you know what? We're going to go ahead with this. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, but we're going ahead with it. So I'm actually making this video because in the millions of, or not millions, but in all the conversations that I've had with people in other cities, with law firms, with lawyers, with, you know, retired lawyers, with all these people, we haven't gotten a concrete yes yet. So I actually have 3 phone calls I have today, 3 meetings. Well, I have 1 meeting today at noon, and then I have, I got a phone call from a law firm twice yesterday. I got to call the state bar. I got to call all these people. So it sounds super important, but it's super frustrating at the same time. So if you would, reach out to people around you. If you know any law firms, lawyers, have them get in touch with me. And I'll put them in touch with the people, you know, I'll put them in touch with the appropriate people, because I'm not in charge. I'm just a worker bee here. Now, all of this said, yes, please, if you, I mean, I've contacted, I don't need suggestions of who to contact. I've contacted, people give me suggestions all the time. Contact this organization, contact the ACLU. The ACLU does not have the budget. We've already talked with them. We've talked with national organizations. We've talked with Florida state organizations. We've talked with, let me see, I emailed the Florida Division of Arts and Culture today in Tallahassee, because they have a list of pro bono lawyers they can talk to. I've emailed the Volunteer Lawyers and Accounts for the Arts. That's a national organization, waiting to hear back from them. But I mean, we've talked to so many people. What we need is somebody solid. And we're looking at, you know, 300 pieces of artwork by 200 international artists, and not all the artists are going to want to get involved. Let's say half. Let's say a quarter. And we have local artists in town who are like, but I want to work with the city. The city isn't going to grant you some magical powers and, you know, bless you because, you know, you never said anything. You never stood up for yourself. They're not. In fact, this is the second time they've destroyed a project I've been involved with. And so I'm looking for a lawyer to represent me for this other project that the city apparently terminated on fault. Well, they didn't apparently, they terminated on false pretense and also based on a rumor that someone had spread. Yeah, that we live in the most immature city in the world. So, and ineffectual and flaccid. So anyway, yeah, we're looking for a lawyer. And like I said, we're reaching out to people all the time, and we have conversations constantly with law firms and lawyers. So blah, blah, blah. That all said, part of being an artist, and this is what I wanted to get to too, was part of being an artist is standing up for yourself. You know, people have made us artists feel like, you know, we need them. We need them. And if we're nice and we're polite and we follow their rules, they'll bequeath us. They'll bequeath us with some attention. And it's really not true. You know, we bend and and I'm all for being cooperative and a little bit flexible, but it has to go both ways. Now, in my fight here with the city and hopefully with with the state as well, it's not about me. It's not about me. It is standing up for it. And I just had this conversation 3 times again yesterday with people who know me and respect me, and you know. Anyway, it's not about me. It's about the community as a whole, the entire Sarasota community, people who felt a kinship to this artwork that was destroyed, felt that their home was completely violently violated by the city. It's to the Sarasota community, this fight that I'm not going to give up. It's also for the art community because, as I said, as artists, we're used to, oh, please, we'll sit here quietly and do whatever you ask, and please just think about being good to me one day. I'm sick of it. I don't know about you, but I'm done. I'm just so done with it. Because nothing is going to change if we do not demand change. We see that coming out of Washington, where they were just steamrolling us, and they continue to steamroll us with just violent violation after violent violation. Nothing is going to change there if we just sit by quietly and don't say anything. Nothing is going to change here either, with this destruction of art across the state. And nothing is going to change in our lives as artists if we just sit by quietly and hope that maybe one day. It's not going to happen. It's just never going to happen. So, you know, while other artists in town have the luxury of sitting back and being quiet because, you know, they have been given projects by the city. I'm one of, I don't know how many, who have been completely over by this city. So you can only hit a dog too many times and then they bite back. And that's where we are. I'm the dog in this scenario. But yeah, at some point you got to say enough is enough. And as scary as it is, you've got to find a way to stand up for yourself. You just have to. I remember, I think it was like 20-something years ago. 22 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long. 22 years ago, I walked through the snow without any shoes. 22 years ago, I did, maybe 23, no, 22. I did a show on Cape Cod at a community art center that I thought was a big deal. it was just part of, it was just a step I was taking, but I thought it was a big deal. And this woman, young woman, got a hold of me, and she was very full of herself. I have a buyer for this painting, and I was charging 75 cents or $1 a square inch for my painting, something like 50 cents, 75 cents, $1, I don't remember. And she tried to talk me down. This woman who was not the director of this community art center, but was somewhere under right around assistant director. I could tell by the emails that she was young, but she was, she was trying to find her footing, her importance and her footing in the conversation. So she tried to talk me down. And I said no. And then it was, I'm going to do this and I can do that for you. It was a bunch of bullshit like that. And I was like, I just got tired of it. And I said no, because I've already been doing, putting up with that for a long time. Anyway, it was somewhere in this, in her trying to find her strength and overplaying her hand with me, how important she is, or was, that I just grew tired. And I decided, once I'd finally gotten paid for this one painting, I raised my prices and just became more stern. And over the years, I've become more stalwart when people say to me, you know what, I'm going to do you a favor. That painting is $5,000. I'll give you $1,000 for it. Cash. Wink, wink. And throw in this and that. That conversation doesn't last long, and it usually goes like this. Well, Frank, which happened at a show a couple of years ago. Well, Frank, no. And let me tell you why. Because over there is my collector, Catherine. Over there is another collector, Larry. Over there is another collector. Over there is another collector. So I sell you this. It was a $3,800 painting. I sell you this $3,800 painting for $1,000. What do I say to them? Oh, Larry's super special. Yeah, we just met tonight, but he's so goddamn special. I had to give him a massive break and devalue every investment you've made in me. He wanted me to throw in, I was wearing one of my jumpsuits where I'd sewn on patches too, but he wanted me to throw that in too and drive home naked. I don't know what he was thinking, but anyway, I said, the painting is $3,800, end of conversation. You want to buy it, go talk to the woman over there, but don't bother me again, and walked away. And that takes a lot for me. It takes a lot for anybody, well, most people, to do. But it's something we have to learn to do. We have to learn to stand up for ourselves. And I really don't even care that I am the only artist who's actually calling lawyers. I'm the only one, or one of the only ones, filling out the appropriate paperwork. Because hopefully in these actions, I will have the ripple effect. I will have a rippling effect. And people, other artists will become bolstered and maybe filled with courage. I mean, I'm surrounded by opportunists too, who have used me to get what they want. Yeah, so, yeah, there are opportunists, but then there are people that are like, I don't know how to stand up for myself. You just figure it out. You figure it out, and it starts with, no, you will not treat me like this. You will treat me with respect. Because I think, too, and now we're going on 20 minutes, but as artists, we have been trained to think of ourselves as childlike, because this is how people want to view us. So we've had it crammed down our throats. So what we do as artists is inconsequential. It makes me laugh because we hold so much importance, but just to keep us in check, people will devalue us and tell us how little we matter, and just kind of humiliate and belittle us. But meanwhile, they want what we have. Because remember, as artists, we define humanity. We define it, we record it. We change the look and feel of human history. There are wars that have been fought. There are so many things that have changed socially, but art has also been at the very center of it all. And we've recorded it. When you think about fashion design is an art. True fashion design, not derivative fashion design, but true fashion design is an art, and the evolution of fashion. So women wore corsets forever. They were constricted, they were held in and controlled with these corsets. And their shape had to be just so corsets. We were literally putting ourselves in cages for the bemusement and and placing ourselves in captivity of men. And then one day, a woman decided she was done wearing a corset and designed a brassiere. And then all of a sudden, the restrictions became, over time, the restrictions became a choice. Do we want to wear a girdle? Do we want to, alter our shape or just feel differently about ourselves? It's a little bit more of a choice, although there is a lot of conformity and choice to shape ourselves into the design that pleases the male gaze. Not me, but whatever. Anywho, that was an evolution, and coming out of the 1800s with the long skirts covering absolutely every inch of your body, and moving into the 1910s, 1920s with flapper, was jumped to flapper clothing, where it was loose, and women were wearing brassieres, and all of a sudden they're free and they can dance, they can breathe. That didn't happen on its own. And it didn't happen because, government allowed blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it happened because of artists. It happened because of clothing designers and women seeing themselves differently. But I don't think I'm putting it well, but the arts were at the very center of it. Artists, clothing designers, oh my God. Even the cloth that was used suddenly became its own industry. Okay, I'm really not putting this well. Need more coffee. But artists are always at the center of humanity. And so we need to start 25 minutes now. We need to start standing up for ourselves and demanding better. Bottom line. And so I am not letting this go. I am not letting Ave of Art go. I'm not letting it go because me. or as one woman who tried to take over this whole thing, this whole Ave of Art case we were putting together, she kept, well, I can make you millions. I can get you 1.2 million back. I can get you 1.6 million. Missing the point. It is about standing up for art and artists in a culture that has, where art and artists have allowed themselves to be devalued down to being, you know, pretty little postcard snapshots of it, somebody's idea of what the art and artists should be. I'm not having it. I'm not having it. So, there we are. Stand up for yourself. And now's a good time because the world is a shit show. So you can start practicing now. Might as well. I guess that's it. I'm gonna go have coffee and then I gotta get ready for the first meeting of the day. All right, that's me being important. Ciao. Ciao. Go stand up for yourself. There we are. And bye. Ciao. Ciao.